Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? Or looked someone in the eye and blanked on their name? Maybe it's been happening more lately, and maybe quietly a thought has crept in. Is this just aging, or is something else going on? For many older adults, memory slips feel like a normal part of getting older. But what if some of those moments weren't caused by aging at all? What if the real reason was sitting right there on your bathroom shelf, inside a bottle you've trusted for years? There's something most doctors never explain, something most commercials never mention. Certain medications one's given for sleep pain, allergies, bladder control, even depression can slowly dim your memory, not just a little. In some cases, they can mimic dementia, confusion, disorientation, lost words, lost time. And worst of all, many of these medications are still being prescribed to people over 60 without warning them of the risk. If you or someone you love is starting to feel mentally foggy, struggling to focus, or worried about losing their spark, you need to know what might be hiding behind the label. This video will walk you through the 9 most common medications that have been linked to rapid cognitive decline in seniors. Some might surprise you, others might already be in your cabinet. But don't worry, this isn't a video about fear, it's about freedom. Because when you understand what's really going on, you can take action. You can ask better questions. You can talk to your doctor with confidence. And you can protect the one thing no one should ever lose too soon: your mind. So I hope you'll stay with me through this video. We'll go gently, clearly, and I promise by the end you'll have a new sense of clarity about your health, your memory, and what steps you can take starting today. Let's begin with the medication class that most people never think to question. Yet it's been silently linked to confusion, memory loss, and even dementia in older adults. The forgotten link between pills and memory loss. Most older adults don't think twice about the pills they've taken for years. After all, if a doctor prescribed it, it must be helping. But here's the quiet truth. Some medications can change the way your brain works, not overnight, but slowly, over months, over years. They can dim your clarity, make you feel like you're slipping, not like yourself. A large group of these drugs belong to something called anticholinergics. That's a big word. But what it really means is this: these medicines block a chemical in your brain that helps you think clearly and remember things. When you block too much of it over time, it's like trying to read a book with half the pages missing. These medications are common, found in allergy pills, cold meds, even sleep aids. But the side effects aren't always listed on the bottle in a way that makes sense. Confusion, trouble concentrating, brain fog. Many people think it's just aging, but sometimes it's the pill, not the person. Take Eleanor, for example. She's 74. A retired high school English teacher from Indiana. She always loved reading mystery novels and finishing crossword puzzles over morning coffee. But about a year ago, her daughter noticed Eleanor kept asking the same question. "Have you seen my keys 3 times in one afternoon?" Her story started looping. She couldn't find the right words during conversation. At first, her family feared dementia. But when they visited her doctor, they reviewed Eleanor's medications. She'd been taking a common over-the-counter allergy pill every night for seasonal sniffles. No one had ever told her it could affect her memory. With her doctor's guidance, they found a safer alternative, one that didn't block the brain chemical she needed to stay sharp. And after a few weeks, Eleanor started to feel more like herself. Her puzzles got easier again. Her conversations felt clearer. She wasn't losing her mind. She was just reacting to a hidden side effect. Stories like Eleanor's are more common than most people realize. And they remind us that memory loss doesn't always mean decline. Sometimes it's just a signal to look closer. Sleeping pills, a silent saboteur. Everyone needs rest, especially as we get older. But what happens when sleep doesn't come easily anymore? Many seniors turn to sleep aids, hoping for relief from tossing and turning. But some of these pills come with a hidden cost. Sleep medications, especially strong sedatives like benzodiazepines, can interfere with how the brain restores itself during rest. They don't just make you drowsy, they change the architecture of your sleep. That means less deep sleep, less dream sleep, and less time for your brain to do the work of cleaning itself out overnight. The result, you wake up groggy, mentally cloudy, unfocused, and over time this cycle builds. The brain doesn't get a chance to reset. According to Harvard Health, older adults who regularly take certain sedative medications have up to a 50% higher risk of developing dementia symptoms. That's a frightening number, but it doesn't mean you have to suffer through sleepless nights. It means you may need to revisit the kind of help you're getting. Many doctors now recommend safer alternatives, things like melatonin in low doses, cognitive therapy for sleep. Even small lifestyle changes like reducing caffeine or having a wind-down routine at night can make a big difference. The key is this: if you're waking up feeling dull, or if your mind feels slower after starting a sleep med, it might be time to ask a new question. Not just, how can I sleep? But how can I protect my brain while I sleep? Bladder meds and the brain's warning bells. Bladder problems are a quiet frustration for many seniors. The urge to go too often, the fear of leaks, the discomfort during travel or sleep. So it's no surprise that millions turn to medications for overactive bladder. What most don't know is that many of these medications fall into that same anticholinergic category, the ones that interfere with brain chemicals tied to memory and focus. It's one of the most overlooked connections in senior health. Treating one embarrassment only to create a deeper confusion in the mind. Carlos is 79. He's a retired mechanic from Arizona who used to love doing crossword puzzles in the morning with his wife. They'd sit together with coffee, laughing over clues. But about a year ago, something changed. He'd stop mid-puzzle, lose track of the word he was working on. Sometimes he'd get frustrated and close the book altogether. His wife noticed he was also repeating questions and forgetting their appointments. When they visited his doctor, they brought up the concern. After reviewing his medications, they noticed he was on a long-term bladder control prescription. The doctor explained that the medication had strong anticholinergic properties. Together, they made a plan, switched to a different treatment, and within a few weeks, Carlos's clarity began to return. The message here is simple. Your brain and your bladder might be more connected than you think, and sometimes treating one issue shouldn't come at the cost of the other. Antidepressants that dull the mind. Depression is real, and it can show up in unexpected ways as we age. Loneliness, grief, chronic illness. All of these can weigh heavily, and the medications prescribed to help often do bring relief. But not all antidepressants are created equal. Some, especially older types like tricyclics, can affect how sharp you feel. Even certain modern ones can cause fogginess or mental fatigue. This is not to say anyone should stop taking medications that help. Mental health is just as vital as physical health. But if you've been in the same prescription for years, and you're starting to feel not quite there mentally, it's okay to ask whether your brain is reacting differently now than it used to. The aging brain is more sensitive. What worked well at 55 may affect you differently at 75. And the right answer isn't always to quit. It's to explore, adjust, talk openly with your provider about what you're feeling. There's courage in caring for your mind. There's strength in saying, I don't feel like myself and asking why. Because protecting your emotional health and your mental clarity are both possible. You don't have to choose one or the other. Pain relief that comes at a mental cost. Pain can wear down the strongest spirit. Whether it's arthritis, back problems, or old injuries that never healed, many older adults find themselves reaching for relief daily. But some of the most common pain medications, especially opioids, can cloud the mind even as they quiet the body. Opioids like oxycodone or hydrocodone don't just block pain, they also interfere with the brain's reward and focus centers. Over time, especially with long-term use, they can lead to slower thinking, memory loss, and even increased risk of falls or accidents due to dizziness and disorientation. Even non-opioid medications like certain strong NSAIDs can sometimes cause mental side effects when taken in large amounts or over extended periods. The challenge is that for many seniors, pain management feels like a lifeline. No one wants to choose between thinking clearly and hurting less. But there are more options now than ever before. Gentle physical therapy, targeted nerve treatments, non-opioid medications that don't affect the brain, and most importantly, regular reviews with a trusted provider to ensure that the benefit of each treatment still outweighs the risk. If your mind has started to feel foggy, if your thoughts feel just a little slower, it might be worth asking whether your pain pills are helping too much in one area and harming quietly in another. Heart meds and the unexpected side effects. Medications for blood pressure and heart rhythm are some of the most prescribed in the world, and rightly so. They save lives. But not all heart meds play nicely with the brain. Some medications that slow the heart can also slow your mental processing. Others that control blood pressure too aggressively can lead to lightheadedness, confusion, or brain fog, especially in older adults whose bodies don't regulate blood flow as easily as they once did. You might notice it in small ways: feeling slower to respond in conversation, forgetting parts of your routine, needing more time to focus or process. It doesn't always feel dramatic, but it's often a quiet clue that something has shifted. A recent hospital study found that seniors taking 5 or more medications per day were significantly more likely to experience cognitive decline over time, and heart meds were a frequent part of those regimens. That doesn't mean these medications are bad. It means they require monitoring, adjustment, and a willingness to ask, is this still the best plan for me now? Because what worked for your heart at 60 might need rethinking at 75 or 80, especially if your brain feels the effects more than your body. Allergy and cold medications, the overlooked offenders. Allergy season comes and goes, but many older adults keep antihistamines and decongestants in the cabinet year-round. They're familiar, easy to grab, and often over the counter, which is why they're so often overlooked. But many of these products contain anticholinergic ingredients, the same kind that block essential brain signals. That's especially true for first-generation allergy meds. They're effective at drying up runny noses and clearing sinuses, but they also dry up communication in the brain. Martha is 82. She's a widow in Ohio who still maintains her beautiful backyard garden: roses, hydrangeas, lavender. She was known in her neighborhood for her green thumb. But over time, something began to change. Her daughter noticed she was struggling to recall the names of flowers she'd grown for decades. She stopped hosting her garden club meetings. Even her passion for planting started to fade. When they visited her doctor, it turned out Martha was taking 2 different over-the-counter allergy medications for seasonal congestion. Both had high anticholinergic content. After switching to a safer option and making a few changes, her clarity improved. She began gardening again, and her stories about plants returned with her confidence. Sometimes the smallest pills have the biggest impact, especially when they're used without a second thought. Acid reflux meds and the vitamin B12 puzzle. Many older adults take medication to soothe acid reflux. These drugs, called proton pump inhibitors or PPIs, can offer real relief. But there's a hidden twist. When used, long-term PPIs can interfere with your body's ability to absorb vitamin B12. And that deficiency can cause symptoms that look a lot like dementia. B12 is crucial for energy, focus, and memory. Without enough of it, you might feel foggy, tired, unsteady on your feet, or find it hard to keep track of thoughts. The tricky part is that B12 deficiency builds slowly, and it's often missed because people assume the symptoms are just part of getting older. But here's the good news. It's easy to check. A simple blood test can reveal whether your B12 levels are low. And if they are, supplements, either oral or by injection, can restore what's missing and help bring back mental clarity. If you've been taking reflux medication for years and you've noticed your mind isn't as sharp, this might be one of the easiest fixes of all. Ask your doctor about checking your levels. It could be the missing link. The danger of mixing too many meds at once. This is where everything comes together. Most older adults don't take just one pill. They take 5, or 7, or 10, from different doctors, for different conditions, and often no one has looked at the full picture in years. This is called polypharmacy, and it's one of the quietest health threats facing seniors today. It's not just about what each pill does on its own. It's about how they interact, how they overlap, how they change as your body changes. What helped once may now hurt. What kept you stable may now be tipping you off balance. The signs can be subtle: feeling more tired, more forgetful, less like yourself. But behind those signs might be a combination of medications pulling you in different directions. That's why medication reviews are so important. Sitting down with your doctor or a pharmacist and going through everything you take, asking, do I still need this? Is this the safest choice for someone my age? Is anything interacting in a way that's hurting me? It's not about quitting meds. It's about making sure every one of them is helping, not harming. Because the goal isn't just to live longer. It's to live clearer, brighter, with a mind that still feels like yours. If there's one thing I hope you take from this video, it's that you are not powerless. So many older adults quietly struggle with memory lapses, confusion, or brain fog and think it must be their age. But sometimes the cause is not inside you. It's something around you. And the moment you see that, you gain something priceless. Choice. Aging does bring change. That's true. But it doesn't mean losing yourself. It doesn't mean accepting every new symptom as permanent. Sometimes clarity is just a conversation away, a review of your medications, a shift in routine, a question asked at just the right time. There's a quiet strength in taking charge of your health, in saying, I want to understand what's happening to me. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. And it's never too late to be wise. If any part of this video made you pause, if something you heard reminded you of yourself or someone you care about, please know this. You are not alone. You're not losing your mind. You may just need to free it. I invite you to stay with us here on the Longevity Secret channel. Every video is made with care to help you feel stronger, smarter, more supported. So please like this video if it helped you. Subscribe if you'd like to hear more. And leave a comment if you want to share your experience or your story. Your voice matters here. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Be gentle with your mind. And remember, a clear mind at any age is a gift worth protecting. We'll see you again soon.